This next pattern in the making method call simpler series is sort of the opposite of the previous one. And this is called replace parameter with explicit methods. Motivation here is that you have a method that runs different code depending on the values of an enumerated parameter. And so we might want to create a separate method for each value of the parameter. So for example, in this employee class, we have this static factory method here, which accepts a parameter that it expects to be one of these constants. And then based on what parameter is passed in, it returns a different kind of employee. So first of all, the first thing we would do is create our separate methods for returning the different kinds of employees. Let's call this one create engineer. Create salesman. And finally, create manager. Now that we have these methods by themselves, we can start changing this. So instead of returning a new engineer, we'll return from our delegated factory here, create engineer. And then for each one of these, we'd want to, of course, rerun all of our tests, make sure we haven't broken anything. Create salesman. And create manager. And now we've essentially delegated that responsibility from this generic factory to these more specific ones. And at this point, we would want to go through all of our calling code, get rid of anything that uses the create and passes in this engineer type. So we might say, find all references and find anywhere that that constant's being used in the creation of an employee. Replace that call with create engineer directly, which would allow us to then deprecate this. And of course, we could do that one at a time, first with the engineer and then run all of our tests. Then we would want to do the same thing with salesman and run all of our tests. And then finally do the same thing with manager and run all of our tests. At this point, nothing should be using this generic create method, so we can get rid of it entirely. And depending on the structure of the rest of the code, we might even be able to just get rid of these constants. We might not need these magic values anymore if that static factory was the only thing that was using them. And that's it for the replace parameter with explicit methods pattern. Thanks for watching.